Hello, I'm Dani. I'm coming at you live from DDC Studio here in River Falls, Wisconsin. Today's date is December 7th, 2016, and the winter chill is coming our way, so make sure you have your gloves on. Today, during our show, we'll be talking to you about technology and the brain. This just in. A video has gone viral as of 5 seconds ago. We're going to go ahead and show you the clip.
So you're reading an article online when you get an instant message with a link to a funny photo, which of course you have to share. And now you're reading your Facebook news wall, which sends you to a video of a panda bear attacking a kid. And now you're reading Wikipedia to learn everything you can about the violent behavior of panda bears. And this is what 3 minutes on the internet can be like. We live like this all the time, and it has to have some kind of effect on us.
The net is making us more superficial as thinkers.
That is Nicholas Carr. He is the author of The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. To understand this whole thing better, we need to go way back in time, to say, like, the prehistoric age.
You wanted to know everything going on around you, because the more you knew about your surroundings, the less likely you were to get attacked by a predator. And there's even evidence that our brains release some dopamine, pleasure-producing neurotransmitter chemical, to reward us for seeking out and finding new information.
So getting distracted felt good and helped us stay alive. But the problem is that nowadays, predators aren't much of an issue, but we still have the same brains. And also, there's the internet, which is...
It's an incredibly information-rich environment that the net creates for us, and that's why we use it so much. I mean, sounds, pictures, words, text. And what this tends to do is promote a sort of compulsive behavior in which we're constantly checking our smartphone, constantly glancing at our email inbox. We're kind of living in this perpetual state of distraction and interruption.
Which is dangerous because...
that mode of thinking crowds out the more contemplative, calmer modes of thinking.
And that focused, calm thinking is actually how we learn. It's a process called memory consolidation.
And that means the transfer of information from our short-term working memory to our long-term memory. And it's through moving information from your working memory to your long-term memory that you create connections between that information and everything else you know.
So you've got this awesome life-changing piece of information in your short-term memory, but then you hear that email ding and poof, there it goes. That email takes its place and you never get a chance to learn anything, all because of one distraction.
So attention is the key, and if we lose control of our attention or are constantly dividing our attention, then we don't really enjoy that consolidation process.
But I can hear it now. Someone out there is saying, what does learning matter if all the information in the world is just a Google search away? Well...
that is kind of shortchanging our intellects. If that's the way you're using your mind, just kind of searching very quickly and finding information and then forgetting it very quickly, you're never building knowledge. You're kind of thinking like a computer.
Which means that our very humanity is at stake. And it would be a shame if we all got assimilated because, well, humanity is pretty neat.
I really believe that if you look at the great monuments of culture, they come from people who are able to pay attention, who control their mind. That's what allows us to think in the highest terms, and think conceptually, think critically, think in some very creative ways.
And it's this kind of thinking that's at risk, being eroded one cute cat video at a time. Don't get us wrong, the internet is good for lots of things, and it should be celebrated. But the best thing we can do for our minds is to find some time every day to unplug, calm down, and focus on one thing at a time. Your email, and those cats, will be here when you get back.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. This video was made by The Meaning of Media Life. It was titled, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains, Explained. So basically, what does this video talk about? It talks about our daily use of technology and how that influences our ability to form long-term relationships, our ability to focus, and our ability to communicate with people. With this in mind, our researchers here at the studio and myself have dug deeper into the story. Our research team has found an article titled The Effects of Electronic Media on the Developing Brain. And this was article was published by Robert Sylvester. So in this article, Sylvester talks about how our brain develops into two different systems. Quote, "Our brain uses two systems to analyze and respond to environmental challenges, and electronic mass media often exploits these systems," end quote. These two systems are described as a slower analytical reflective system and a fast conceptual reflexive system. The reflective system relies on the objective and factual stimulation of a situation, while as the reflexive system associates itself with the instinctual behaviors of a situation. Well, with technology added to this mix, these systems are fluctuating with what's reality and what's not. Now that I've explained these systems a little bit, let's see how millennials and baby boomer brains compare to one another. Me and my team had went out on the web and found this image called Brain Matters by Public Source, and it compares baby boomer brains to millennials. So basically, aging brains like repetition and interpret information more as the truth, whereas us millennials engage and remember information presented by rich media or lighting, so screens and technology. Baby boomers have a harder time suppressing distraction, whereas if you were to compare them to millennials, we're better at multitasking. And we seek multisensory communications such as interactive sites. Probably why we like the web so much. Baby boomers, though, are open more to information and have longer attention spans. Well, now with all of this affecting us as young adults, I think we should look at how it affects children as well. Thanks, Dani. Now let's take a look and see how this is affecting our children. So this quote we found on Psychology Today, but first let me tell you what this article is called. How Technology is Changing the Way Children Think and Focus, and this was published by Jim Taylor. Quote, "Thinking, the capacity to reflect, reason, and draw conclusions based on our experiences, knowledge, and insights. It's what makes us human and has enabled us to communicate, create, build, advance, and become civilized. Thinking encompasses so many aspects of who our children are and what they do. From observing, to learning, to remembering, to questioning, to judging, innovating, arguing, deciding, and acting," end quote. Thinking is such an important aspect to who we are as individuals. Technology has begun to hinder our children. Now, we're going to go ahead, and our field reporter Deziree Koenig is out on the University of River Falls campus to hear from you guys as students on how technology affects you. Here's to you, Des.
Thanks, Dani. We're out here in the UWRF library getting up close and personal with students and their technology. According to publicsource.com, the U.S. Census Bureau says that there are roughly 83.1 million citizens in our nation. Now, studies show that the average millennial spends about 18 hours on technology during their day. So how long do you think you spend on technology a day?
I say 4 to 5 hours a day.
I think I spend around 12 hours a day on technology.
I would say like 13 to 14 hours.
And do you think spending that long on technology affects your communications with others?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably affects it more positively and negatively.
Only in ways like sometimes I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but sometimes I catch myself like saying like LOL out loud, or I'll say like, I'll use abbreviations, but like I don't think it affects the way I communicate.
What is your preferred type of communication?
Probably texting. I like group messages, and I love emojis and GIFs and stuff like that. I think they're hilarious, so that's why I'm probably go with texting.
Texting because it's easy.
In an article posted by Gallup.com, we learned that texting is the most frequently used form of communication among Americans younger than 50 years old. One of the most striking cultural and social changes in the U.S. in recent decades has been the revolution of the way Americans communicate. Until recently, humans were confined to communicating face-to-face and through letters and the traditional landline telephone. A study has found that the younger the American, the more likely he or she is to communicate using these newer technologies, meaning millennials today are a generation that is highly in touch with their friends and family. We've had a great day out on the UWRF campus. Now back to you, Dani.
Thanks, Des, and thank you to all you students out there at UWRF. Our show's coming to a close, and I only have a couple more minutes with you. I'd like to share one last article my research team found. This article is called "Modern Technology is Changing the Way Our Brains Work," says a neuroscientist. This article was published by Susan Greenfield. Quote, "The pace of change in the outside environment and in the development of new technologies has increased dramatically. This will affect our brains for the next 100 years in ways we might have never imagined." End quote. I just want to thank you for tuning in today. It means the world to us to have as many views as we can. This is Dani Crawford signing off live here at DDC News. Thank you. Be kind to one another.
We're out here in the UWRF library. I can't bones or any other stuff. I can't. Up close. I can't.
We found a quote on section. Okay. To begin. Thanks, Dad. And thank you. And in the. Oh God.